we're going to start with the picks for the semi-finals. So I think our team preview should have sort of given you a hint for who we're all favoring in this World Cup. I, more than Arman, think that two teams are pretty much a lock for me, which is the hosts India and England. I think that they look, especially with India, I think they look a well-rounded squad and they have like home advantage. Of course, that comes with pressure, but I think that'll kick in mainly in the knockout stages. So I do think that they'll get to the semi-finals pretty comfortably, along with England, who I just think will overpower most teams. And again, that batting lineup could falter in like the knockout games or like in a game or two, but I think over the course of the tournament they'll just like have too much for most teams and they'll get there. Then I have three teams who I have to pick two from. I know we spoke a lot about New Zealand and underrating them, so they're always like a dark horse. And Sri Lanka as well, we spoke about having enough talent, but I think both those teams just like miss out for me this time around. So the three that I have to select from are Australia, South Africa, and Pakistan. And I'm going to back my boys, so Pakistan will be in there for me. And the final shout is very, very difficult because I think South Africa are really, really strong. But Australia have that, that mentality, and we've spoken about Stark and Cummins, and like we haven't even spoken about David Warner and what all those guys they bring. So it's just like, do I back the explosiveness of South Africa or like the experience of Australia? And for the sake of being fun and going against my mentality thing, I'm gonna stick my neck out for South Africa here.
Hey, I like it. I like that a lot.
Shout out to Luca. Hopefully he's happy if he's listening to this.
Shout out to Luca, bro. Sitting on the dusty field somewhere. Why are we moving past New Zealand so quickly if Kane is back? I think they found a little bit of an X factor with the fake Ravi Jadeja that they've decided to open with.
Dude, this is like one of those classic New Zealand things. They just pull it out of their ass and they're suddenly. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if it was Pakistan, you would say you pull it out of their ass. I'm sure they've planned for it. Like, and he's obviously.
No, I'm sure he opens in domestic and stuff. Yeah, exactly, we just didn't know that he opens here. But I mean, if they get him in, they've got the extra bowler there. The one thing that makes you doubt. We spoke about this, right? We spoke about it that if the like with their lineup, it's going to be interesting to see because they'll have a bowler short maybe. With like but now one of Nisham. Yeah, I think they should play him. I know it was a warm up, but I think they should just take New Zealand
risk,
is known for getting far in tournaments because they randomly throw in brown kids.
Bro, the first match against England, Williamson is sitting out, so bring in Rachin Ravindra for a game.
Yeah, and I don't know any doubt I had around New Zealand was like around the fact that Kane wasn't there, but Kane's there, homie. Kane is coming back.
Yeah,
they always play well as a team. Like every time I convince myself, okay, this body they're not gonna make it finally. Like in Pir, they come back and they make it again. I think I'm with you. Pakistan, I have. England, I have. India, I have. It's pretty tough between these other three. I think Australia have the experience. You know what? I'll take a risk too. I'll go with South Africa. I don't know how.
You're picking the same as me.
I'll pick the same. I don't know how well it's gonna turn out, but I'll take the risk and I'll go with them here.
Nice. So we're backing against the Aussies. I'm scared.
It's
definitely gonna backfire on us, but honestly, like I hope South Africa get it this time around.
It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. South Africa, you just maybe doubt their third pacer a little bit. No, I'm going with Australia, bro. I'm going with Australia.
Okay.
You can scratch South Africa. I'm going with Australia. I just convinced myself. Like हम तो है bro, मैं ये पाकिस्तान का podcast है, मैं तो अपनी टीम को नहीं निकालूंगा ना, तो there's no point of having this. Pakistan's in there. India, I thought कि थोड़ी थकी भी लग रही थी, but they played really well recently. And England are very scary, so I think I'll go with I'll bitch out there, and I'll let you have the risky pick, and I'll go with this weirdish Australian team. Let's move into best bowler of the tournament.
Yeah, so I guess we're doing highest wicket taker. So I think it's pretty easy for me. Yep, there we go. Honestly, there's a lot of options here, so I'm just going to run them through before we actually pick the guy. But I think we're both thinking the same thing. So if we look at Pakistan, we have the Eagle and Rauf Dar. I think those two will pick up a bunch of wickets here. for India, I think Bumrah and Kuldeep are definitely going to be key. You have Adil Rashid, key for England in the middle overs, and then the usual suspects in Bolt and Stark. But I think if Australia get to semis, Zampa will pick up wickets as well. And then
I
for
like
Sri
the Zampa
Lanka,
pick.
I think Thikshana and Pathirana, I think, are also guys who could be up there. But I just don't know if, again, with Sri Lanka, like, I don't know what their 11 will be like a little bit. And if they're going to consistently pick these guys. But I think those guys have the potential because Pathirana is also one of the top wicket takers in the Asia Cup, if not the top. Would any dark horses, or are we going straight? Like, I'm picking
Dark
Shaheen.
horse. Shaheen, I'm probably gonna pick too. My dark horse is Rauf. If he plays all the games, because I think he was online for it in the Asia Cup, and I think the injury obviously, it took him out of that tournament. But I think Rauf is a dark horse. He's a guy I really have my eye on. But I think right now, Shaheen in one days I think is the best bowler in my opinion right now. And then you have guys like see, the thing with some of these other teams, they're gonna probably do a better job of resting their fast bowlers than we will. So that's something that goes against them. I'll go with another spinner. I think you can maybe pick between like these Kuldeep, Rashid,
I didn't mention
Zampa,
Rashid.
like this group of you guys. I just think with the Rashid is it gets a little bit difficult because teams kind of play out his 10 overs now, and they attack everybody else. So he's almost a victim of his own success in that way. But I'll
so
go
two
with
thoughts I have.
I'll go with Shaheen.
Shaheen, I think we're both agreed on Shaheen. He obviously has had a number of injuries over the past couple of years. Last year, the T20 World Cup, he was coming back from injury. He got injured during that. So he's had a rough couple of years. But I think for the first time in a while, mashallah, he looks good in terms of his bowling. Like, he looks fit and firing, and inshallah he delivers. So I don't have any doubts with backing him. And go ahead.
I just wanted to say that in the last World Cup, he was among the best bowlers, and he was 75% of himself. This guy is a big tournament player, like we've seen that. So
picked
I
up a
expect
5 against Bangladesh. I think he broke the record for becoming the youngest bowler to pick up a 5, right? Or only teenager. Yeah. So there you go. That's all you need to know.
And best figures for a Pakistani in a World Cup too.
There we go. Exactly.
And that's when he was a teenager.
And then we spoke a little bit about spinners. So I think one thing to note is pitches ka dekhna hoga ki jab, as the tournament goes longer, will they deteriorate? Break hone shuru ho jayengi? Like, kya scene hoga? Pata nahi hame abhi. Guess ही कर सकते हैं. अगर वो, like, if that does happen, then the spinners could come into play a lot more and pick up more wickets.
And I think जो fast bowlers तो में कामयाब नजर आएंगे, they're going to be the ones who have the awareness कि जब pitches slow होते तो वो अपने, like last World Cup in India, Afridi was the lead wicket taker in terms of average. Zahir Khan was second on the list with the same amount of wickets, and you saw him like using a lot of clever variations like slower balls throughout the innings when the pitch would hold up. So I think whatever fast bowler has success, it's going to be guys who have that game awareness. And the guys like Shaheen, a Rauf, a Bolt, a Bumrah, even a Siraj, they have that awareness. So I think it's going to be some of these top quality line bowlers who you'll see up there. Yeah. Is there any for you
variations?
Hassan Ali could. You don't want to make too big of a prediction on him right now. Like, you just hope he comes and settles into his role, but he could be a dark horse for sure. Is there anybody who you think could kind of come out of nowhere and set the tournament ablaze?
I think it's mostly just the players we've mentioned. Maybe like a South Africa. Again, if I'm back in South Africa to get to the semi-finals, like, I think their fast bowlers like Rabada and Ngidi, one of them will really have to step up. And then in the middle overs, like maybe Tabriz Shamsi. I think I could see like a game or so where he just like runs through people. So
yeah. Especially against these associate teams, you can see Shamsi end up with like 6 wickets just in those games alone. I think these are all good shouts, but I think we'll stick with our guy here.
Yeah.
And then
moving into like the highest run scorer. Of course, plenty of candidates. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored. We've spoken about how many runs England score, India score, just in terms of the aggressive batting lineups that these teams have. Of course, with Pakistan, we've spoken about how Babar is going to be the key man. So he's going to be up there. For someone like South Africa, Aiden Markram, Rassie van der Dusen, these are the guys who usually deliver. Shakib Al Hassan will continue to be there. For Bangladesh, we saw last World Cup, but this time he might be batting a little lower down the order, so it'll be interesting to see whether he has the opportunity to do that. From England, Bairstow, Root, these are the guys who, again, with obviously Stokes and Butler are great players, but they bat a little lower down the order, where I
lower
don't
down the
think
order.
generally these top run scorers tend to come from the top three, maybe like someone at number 4, but mostly the top three. So I think the main candidates for me are like
The
Shubman,
Fab
Rohit,
Five, right? And
the
then
Fab,
some,
yeah, Kane Williamson. I don't know about Steve Smith as much in one days. Like
yeah,
again, he
maybe
could
not Steve
deliver.
Smith.
He
Yeah,
always does, like at the big stages, but yeah, maybe not for me this time around. Who are you picking?
just before I get you, I'll throw in a sleeper. Marnus Labuschagne just got into Australia's team.
There we go.
And I don't quite
And
know
shout
where
out to
Steve
Arman for predicting it the day before, or at least like asking them to do it and getting it
asking
done. So
for it, asking
I
for
don't
it.
know what direct line you have to the Australian selectors, but yeah, it seems to be working.
Oh, they got Martinez in there, so I think he might be a sleeper. Because no one really knows about Martinez, the one day player yet. But I think these guys like Shubman Gill, like bro, with the Senna countries, you almost feel like they do it by committee a little bit more than the
Yeah,
subcontinent teams, right? Um, Maybe milestones matter a little bit more to our guys or whatever the case may
yeah.
be. But I won't, not a risk, at the risk of jinxing him. Allah na kare. Like I'm gonna go with Kaptan here. I'm gonna go with Babar
Mhm.
Azam.
I think if I had to predict who will be the top run scorer, I'm gonna go for someone from India and England. I still think Babar will be up there, but for top run scorer, I think the teams that will absolutely like destroy teams and maybe like in one or two games put up like 360, 370 type scores, like against like maybe like a Netherlands or someone. That's going to be India and England. And I could see, we've spoken about Rohit Sharma. I don't know if I see him having that level of consistency, but he has the ability to do that. Then Shubman Gill, can he deliver at the biggest stage? And then for England, Bairstow, Root, Kohli again in there as well. I'm gonna go Joe Root actually.
Joe Root, I like that
I'm
pick.
gonna go
I
Joe
like
Root.
that pick.
Yeah.
I like that pick. These are the conditions for him. Um,
Yeah, he plays
I'm good
spin
with that
well. He
pick.
plays base well. He has the shots in terms of the classical shots, the ram shots. Like he'll do whatever needs to be done, and he can adjust his
Yeah,
game to play like whatever the demands are for that day. And I think, yeah, I think he
it's
he'll
a
he'll
as
be
good
great.
of a player as he is. It's a slightly left field pick just because of the fact that there's been a lot of like debate on his form as of late. So how do you see him
Yeah.
coming just right back into the fold of runs in this World
Yeah,
Cup?
I
Yeah,
think, dude, I think he has the experience of the Indian pitches. I think one thing I just remembered was he was there in the IPL, but he didn't play. But he said like he wanted to be around for that experience. Again, maybe
yeah,
that was the year before. I don't know if I'm remembering this incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure that was the case where he was just there getting used to the conditions. And I think he's a very clever player as well. And
yeah,
with England, like they're going to score heaps of runs. So I could have picked like
yeah.
Bairstow or someone, but I just think that Joe Root can do it in any conditions and with the spin factor as well. Yeah, I think he plays sweeps well. He plays like reverse, all of that stuff, and I think he'll get the job done.
I think that's a really good shout. Kane obviously is missing a couple of games. I think Conway is another sleeper that's in there. And then what about हमारे boys Imam या Rizwan? कोई chance है? Does Rizwan come in too low or क्या
I
scene लग रहा है?
don't like again. I went back to the point where I think over the course of the tournament, these other teams will maybe score more runs than us. Generally, what Pakistan does is we score par, and we tend to rely on our bowlers to defend totals. And that's eventually what we default to in like the key games and everything, right? While these, like someone like England might go a little bit harder, especially like in the initial games, and so that's my sort of logic in here.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. I'll stick with the very Homer and cliche pick, but I'll stick with Bobby. I think Bobby's in the peak of his powers right now, and I think before this little Asia Cup period, I think he's been in an insane run of form, and I want him to come and silence everybody here. I want him to show what caliber of player he is, and he already has the most runs for a Pakistani in any edition of the World Cup, which is
Mhm.
crazy because it was his first World Cup, and I want to see him really dominate this tournament, especially on these pitches. And yeah, that's
Sounds good. As always, continue to follow, subscribe, and share with anyone who you think might be interested. We're having a really good time doing this, and we hope like you all are liking what you're seeing as well. So again, don't be shy to share feedback. We're really open to it.